The life list is far from the first time that Kyle Allen has been melting movie lovers' hearts, thanks to some memorable excursions in a time loop, the streets of New York City, and even the end of the world. Kyle Allen was originally supposed to have a pretty small part in the 2016 romantic drama One Night, which tells the story of two couples who stay at the same hotel and cross paths as one couple falls in love and the other tries to rekindle what they once had. The only reason Allen wound up in the movie in the first place was because he shared an agent with Isabel Fuhrman, one of the film's other leads. As he recalled to Interview magazine, "They were looking for this extra, and my manager was looking for things to do to get me some footage." Allen was supposed to have just a handful of lines in the film, but then things didn't work out with the actor who had been hired to play Fuhrman's love interest, a timid photographer named Andy. As Allen explained, "I was around, so they read me for the part and they let me have it. I was going to be shooting for 2 days. I ended up shooting for 2 more weeks. I think that's when I decided really that this is where I belong."
I can't imagine a world without you.
After One Night, Allen shifted gears to TV, where he played Hawk on all 3 seasons of the Hulu series The Path. The long-haired teenager is the son of Eddie, a prominent member of an insidious cult. As Eddie questions his involvement in the group, Hawk tries to find his own place in the world, which includes both religious and sexual awakenings. The character could have been a cliche, but Allen pushed to make him more sensitive than he could have been otherwise. As he recalled to Interview, "I'd always felt Hawk was completely different and a lot more thoughtful and intuitive than a lot of people, a lot more hurt by things than the average teenager would be." Allen particularly appreciated getting the chance to work alongside Aaron Paul and Michelle Monaghan, who played his parents. As he recounted, "The entire thing was a beautiful experience. Every single person just clicked. That was probably what everyone talked about the most on set, how well everyone got along. The energy was so good." By 2018, it was pretty much the perfect time for Kyle Allen to star in a Ryan Murphy project, which happened with Apocalypse, the 8th season of American Horror Story. The story centered around a group of people who head into an underground bunker when a nuclear apocalypse strikes. Allen played Timothy, an attractive young man who selected to survive the end of the world because of his supposedly superior genetics. Once again, he relished the opportunity to work with his veteran castmates, including Kathy Bates. In one episode, Timothy and Bates' character Miriam Mead have a shocking confrontation, and she proved to be the perfect scene partner, even though his character shoots hers. As he noted drolly to Decider, "It was a relatively tame day compared to the things that happen on this show."
"We warned you. You brought this on yourselves."
The 2020 romantic drama All My Life stars Jessica Rothe and Harry Shum Jr. as a young couple in love, but before they can get married, he's diagnosed with liver cancer. It's a very sad movie, but also a sweet one, as it asks whether it's better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. Allen co-starred in the film as Kyle, one of the groom's best friends, and the experience led him to reflect on loss in his personal life. As he explained to the Mary Sue, "It was just great writing and a phenomenal story. It spoke to me as kind of an everyman who has lost his father and doesn't know how to deal with it. Like, there's no book on it. How do you specifically deal with loss? And you, unfortunately, have to end up writing that book." After a series of supporting roles, Allen reached leading man status with 2021's The Map of Tiny Perfect Things, in which he played a teenager named Mark who's stuck in a Groundhog Day-style time loop. As he repeats the same day over and over, he tries to make other people's lives just a little bit better along the way. Eventually, he meets Margaret, played by Katherine Newton, who's stuck in the same exact loop. They decide to map out their reality and together appreciate all the tiny perfect things that make a single day worth living. They figure that if they can see all the beauty in their world, they'll be able to move past this one infernal day. Allen was rather proud of this experience, especially for one particular reason. As he admitted to Wonderland magazine, "I used to drive past this billboard on Highland heading to my acting class. I remember looking at it and I would think to myself, someday I'll be up there. A few years later, I'm driving up Highland and I almost crashed because there I was on the billboard for the map of tiny perfect things. It was a full circle moment. It let a part of me really understand that anything is possible."
That was kind of perfect.
There's a hair in my mouth.
2021 was a big year for Allen. After the Map of Tiny Perfect Things, he also starred in the West Side Story remake directed by Steven Spielberg. He played Balkan, a member of the gang known as the Jets. It wasn't a huge part, but Allen had a few chances to shine, including the classic number G Officer Krupke. When he booked the part, he was overwhelmed. As he revealed to Wonderland, "I don't think I knew what joy meant until I got that call. I was babysitting my friend's dog, and I spent about 7 minutes in the fetal position just saying, 'whoa,' over and over again." Allen was a trained dancer before he was an actor, so he was excited to have a chance to show off his chops. He was also understandably psyched to work with one of the most acclaimed directors of all time. As he admitted, "It was so beautiful and relieving to see how genuine Spielberg is with everyone. I remember him coming into one of the final auditions when we were all dancing. He just waved, smiled, got on the floor, and started recording on his personal camera. He wasted no time and was just excited to make his movie. Now that Alan had proved his leading man chops, the roles started to pour in fast and furiously. In fact, he starred in a total of 4 different movies that premiered in 2022, including The In-Between, which was another otherworldly tragic romance. This time around, he played a dreamy guy named Skylar opposite Joey King as Tessa, a young photographer who wins over Skylar with her stellar artistic eye. Alas, he dies in a horrific car accident, and then the story ping-pongs around in time as the romance continues from beyond the grave. Alan was quite happy with the way his filmography was shaping up with all these romantic flicks. As he explained to Pop Culturalist, "Right now, I feel like we get to tell stories that are more female-centric. They're less classically romantic in the way that the woman plays a very specific role and the guy plays a very specific role. I feel really honored to be able to support these actresses in their careers and in telling these more modern stories." Alan also had nothing but nice things to say about his leading lady.
She's super friendly. She's super down to earth.
Alan quickly followed up The In-Between with Space Oddity, which premiered at the 2022 Tribeca Film Festival. It was yet another sci-fi romance, and this time, Alan played a man named Alex who wants to sign up for a one-way trip to Mars. In the meantime, though, he falls for a girl named Daisy, played by Alexandra Shipp. Will love keep him earthbound, or will he make his way to the Red Planet instead? The role added yet another collaboration with a famous woman to Alan's growing resume in the form of actor-turned-director Kira Sedgwick. Alan was impressed by her ability to step behind the camera. As he explained to Pop Culturalist, "She's a brilliant director and has an incredible amount of acting experience. She just knows. She can read people, and she can tell you exactly what you need to hear." Alan also learned a lot from Shipp, both about how to navigate the industry and how to live in the world, as she taught him that it's okay to be openly grateful to your castmates. As Alan reflected, "That's why I think people talk about how it takes a village, because I was so inspired by everyone around me. I was so filled up by the people around me."
If the performance is any good, that would be why.
The greatest beer run ever was a bit of a change of pace for Alan after all those romances. This time, he played real-life Vietnam War veteran Bobby Pappas. The movie centered around Chickie Donahue, played by Zac Efron, who remains behind in America while his friends go off to fight abroad. After one drunken night at the local watering hole, Chickie embarks on a wild plan to bring some beer to the boys in Vietnam. Alan enjoyed working alongside Efron and was impressed by his work ethic. As he noted to Collider, "I was so amazed. We just didn't stop running. We were constantly working and finding new things and nuances."
He was so generous the entire time.
Alan also got to meet the real Pappas for a behind-the-scenes clip. The actor explained that the power of friendship and showing up for each other were what drew him to the story, and then Pappas paid him the ultimate compliment.
"I was proud that you played me."
To close out 2022, Alan was back in romance mode for Rosaline, but this time, he was more of a joke than a straightforward love interest. The film is basically a twisted version of Romeo and Juliet that focuses on Romeo's ex-girlfriend, Rosaline, played by Caitlin Dever. This rendition of Romeo is a bit of a dumb jerk, but as Alan insists, the movie still managed to honor the original source material nonetheless. As he explained to Hey You Guys, "My character is honestly a lot like the traditional Shakespearean version, because if you read it and you kind of put it up against reality, these kids are clueless."
And I feel like my character is an embodiment of like the actual Romeo, who is actually a clueless individual.
Alan also wouldn't have minded if this Romeo and Juliet had gone in a different, more queer direction. As he admitted to Cinema Blend, "I would love for there to be a spin-off romance between Romeo and Dario. I just feel like everyone can fall in love with Dario, and Romeo falls in love with everyone, so I think they'd have a great romance." In 2023, Alan branched out to the supernatural with A Haunting in Venice, the third film in Kenneth Branagh's Hercule Poirot series. This excursion follows the story detective sometime after the events of Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile. He's trying to determine what's really happening at a creepy seance in Italy. Could it be that ghosts actually exist, or is something even more sinister at play? Alan played Maxime Girard, a young man in the grips of a serious breakup, while the other characters wonder if he's responsible for the mysterious invitations they all received. He managed to hold his own among a seriously stacked cast that included Branagh, Michelle Yeoh, Tina Fey, Jamie Dornan, and Kelly Riley. As Alan admitted in a behind-the-scenes clip, one of the highlights of this was the first time the whole cast sat down together in costume.
I was like seeing them walk through the door, and I just was amazed. Everyone looks incredible.